Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I have a scrapbook layout for you today featuring the Four Seasons Summer Collection. Does this not say barbecue or summertime picnic? I love it. So each sheet is double-sided. I already have them flipped over every other one so you can see all of the patterns. But this is going to work really well for my photos today. I have two photos. I'm going to be documenting my husband's love for cooking in the Dutch oven and the smoker barrel. Oh my gosh, the best tri-tip comes out of that barrel. It's amazing. But look how perfect with his blue jeans and his red plaid shirt. It's perfect for this paper pack. I also have the Barbecue Boss stamp set. I think this is going to be fun for creating some custom embellishments. Let me show you that stamp in the catalog because it's so cute. They've created like a little random stamped background with the hot stuff. And then look at the little BBQ Boss license to grill. I thought that was really cute. I just love how they put this together. So it's fun to pull ideas, even though these are cards. You can use this type of, embellishing on a scrapbook layout. So let's go ahead. I'll get this cleared up and we'll get started. I'm going to bring in my Versamat just to make my life easier, and I want to use these two pattern papers. The red check is on the back of that one and the green stripe, but I want to use these two pattern papers here. And I'm thinking about a large frame style layout. I'm actually scrap lifting myself, so hang tight. I'll bring in that original layout in the end and you can see the changes I made. So I did cut this down and I want to mat that on black cardstock. That is a 10 by 10 square, and through the magic of video, I went ahead and got that bluebird pattern paper behind that so I could save that for another project. Now this pattern I really love, but I think a little of this goes a long way. It can be a very bold pattern in large sections, so I've cut a strip and I'm using that to anchor my photos. It kind of reminds me of a picnic table. This one here is from the current Mix-In collections, and I cut a 4 by 12 inch strip and I'm going to run that vertically here. Let me put my photos back into place. Actually, I can't leave my edges undone. So let me put some black ink on this pattern paper and I'll do the one from the Mix-Ins as well. As I mentioned, I'm documenting my husband's love for cooking in the smoker barrel, the barbecue, and the Dutch oven. These particular photos, he was doing some kind of trial runs and practicing a few recipes just to make sure they were where they needed to be before taking them up into the mountains where you have limited supplies and it's hard to change things at that point. And I love it because I get to be the taste tester. So he was in the Dutch oven. He was cooking a French toast. Oh my goodness, it's so good. He has a layer of fresh fruit on the bottom and some brown sugar, and it kind of caramelizes, and then the layered French toast over the top of that. It's delicious. I do want to mat these on black cardstock because I have them printed with a white border, but it was kind of getting lost. So I just want to bring in a little bit more black, and I'll do that in my accents as well as these photo mats. I have my tabs and tags thin cut set here, and I'm going to cut a white daisy tag, and we'll do some stamping on that here in a moment. I'm actually going to scoot this over, bring in my second Versamat and flip that over. Now I have candy apple red and my Barbecue Boss stamp. We're going to do this little hot stuff sausage here. I just thought it was so cute. We'll put that onto our block, and now I'm going to be random stamping and stamping off the edge of my tag. So I'm putting down a piece of inexpensive printer paper to catch that ink and protect my Versamat underneath. So pretty much only the top of this tag is going to be poking out from the top of my photos, but I'm not sure how far, so I just want to make sure I stamp enough. And again, I'm stamping off the edge and I'm rotating my stamp each time I stamp it onto my little tag here. I think that's probably good. I try to clean as I go because I have a very small work surface. This is the stamp chamois, and I moisten it, wring it out. It lays flat in here. You can pick it up and scrub your stamps, or you can just have it flat in the tray. And then this pretty little top protects it so you don't accidentally drop your papers on that wet chamois. I've definitely done that before. It's a sad moment when you realize you wrecked your paper. I want to draw that red color up from that pattern paper to the top of the page. And now we're going to kind of use this little card as our inspiration piece, and they've done some paper piecing. So I'm beginning with Bluebird ink. I have a piece of white daisy cardstock, and we're going to ink up this little Barbecue Boss license to grill and stamp it right on the white daisy, again in Bluebird ink. Now blot that off really well because I'm going to go to a lighter color ink. This is Shortbread. Now I only need the hamburger, so I have a smaller piece of paper here. It's just a scrap, and we're going to cut out our little hamburger. Now you could definitely paper piece the inner portions of this hamburger or even leave them plain, but I thought it would be super simple to use my tri-blend markers. So for the hamburger patty, I have the earth brown shades, and I'm just using one color. You don't have a lot of space there to get fancy with your shading. And then I'm using burnt orange for the layer on top of the hamburger. So it's just going to bring in more of that reddish color, and I decided it wasn't dark enough, so I switched it to a darker color, and it's subtle, but you'll see it better here in the end. And like I said, we're doing some paper piecing, so I'm going to cut my little hamburger out, and I do like to leave a white margin in this case because it's very forgiving, and we don't want any of the blue hamburger to show through or show from behind, so I want that white enough. We also have this super cute little barbecue. I'm going to use archival black because that's the richest, deepest black. And go ahead, ink it up really well, stamp that onto your cardstock, and then we're going to blot this off because we're going to do some paper piecing with this as well. I have both nectarine and candy apple. We're going to do the rock and roll technique. So nectarine is the lighter color. You want to start with your lightest color. So go ahead and ink up your flames, and then we're going to roll the edges of the flames into the candy apple, and that way you'll get this kind of two-toned flame. I know it's probably hard to see, but can you see in the flames? There's the orange going into the red tips. I think it looks really cool. I'm adding just a soft touch of toffee ink to the outside edges of the burger buns. That way it gives it a little bit more dimension, and I'll also pop this up on some 3D foam tape as well. This little hamburger is so cute. You could use it independently like this or over the background like I am going to. So for my spatula and fork, you can see they have them in two shades here, the red handle with the gray fork and spatula part. So I thought it'd be easiest to do that with my mini Misty. I'm going to mask off the lower portion of the stamps, and we'll ink up the handles in candy apple red. And I love that we can customize this to match our layout. So I am using the same colors as they did in the catalog example because it just happens to work perfectly for my photos. So we have our little red handles. I went ahead and wiped that off with my stamp chamois off camera, and now I'm going to mask the handles, ink up the spatula and fork, remove the masking tape, press down, and this should work. Yep, perfectly. It looks so good. So I'll go ahead and get all these die cut out through the magic of film. You didn't have to watch that part. And then, like I mentioned, I'll add a little bit of foam tape to the back of our burger, and then we will get that centered right over the blue portion, just like so. Now, in the catalog, they also had just kind of this tiny little shine to the burger, which looked kind of cool. So I have the Glisten stickles. It's actually, the color is called Glisten, and I'm putting a very thin layer over the burger portion of my hamburger there. Now, for this little guy, we're going to cut off the flames with our microtip scissors and then adhere that over the top of the black flames to give our barbecue just a little bit more character. Do you see that little shine? It just looks like a glistening kind of delicious hamburger patty. And then we have our little barbecue there. So let me set these aside. I'll move my second Versamat, and I can bring this back into the center for you. I was thinking I could put this here, but then I remembered I want to put my journaling there like I have in my inspiration layout. So I'm going to bump this back up to the top. Now I have the stitched rectangles, and I'm using the frame portion. You get two pieces, and I know it's hard to see the stitching detail on the black cardstock, but it does have faux stitching all the way around. I went ahead and printed my journaling out on white daisy cardstock, and I'm going to trim this down here so that it will fit behind my frame. And that's still a little bit too wide. Some of this is going to go under the photos on the left and the bottom photo. I'm going to tuck it in there. So let's just move this and then slide that in there, lining up my text on both the same margin on the left and lower hand side. And now we can trim this off because, you know, that's going to be hiding behind the photos anyway. This will just make it easier to work with. These frames are really fun. You can do all sorts of neat techniques, and they're great for card making as well. So now we can soften that corner with our little hamburger. Let me bump that over just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to cut that off just to make it easier. We don't need all of that back there. bump my little hamburger over, and then just like in the picture, they have the spatula and the fork on an angle on either side, and I thought that looked good. And maybe this guy right here for now. I'm ready to work on my title. Now I have the new Moxie alphabet, and I wasn't going to get this, I have to be honest, but then I saw Jema do a project with it and I thought, you know what, that is really cool. So you have 2 stamps and they have the coordinating dies, and it comes on its own magnetic sheet here. And what I like about this is it gives you a different look, and I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. She heat embossed her letters on black cardstock and it just really popped, and I love the way it looked. So if you have die cut letters, you could just cut them out in white, but having the black background framing the white letter is a different look, and that's why I was like, okay, I really like those. I want to have them. I'm using White Daisy Pigment ink. The pigment ink stays wet enough longer that you can use it for embossing. And when I'm using white embossing powder, I like to use the white pigment ink because I think it makes it just a little bit more intense. But if you don't have white pigment ink, you can certainly use like your Versamark embossing or, you know, whatever embossing ink you have. So I'm tapping this off in the little tray. That tray is no longer available from Close to My Heart. I've had that for quite some time. So I'm running my little heat gun over, and it is taking a while because I forgot to preheat it. If you preheat your heat gun, it does go much quicker. It's always fun to watch embossing powder magic as it melts and transforms into a solid letter, and I love it. It's so pretty. And then look at the shininess too that you get, which is really a nice feature when you emboss. So I did do a second B off camera, and my title's going to read Barbecue Boss, which is the name of the stamp set, and I thought that was perfect. I'll go ahead and do Boss in a different font. I have this very eclectic pile of letter alpha stickers and foam stickers that I've had in my stash forever. I have that on wax paper, so I can just kind of play around with it before committing. But I love that we can kind of hook our T-square ruler on the side of the Versamat and then make sure everything is nice and straight. And I'll go ahead and place these little foam letters. It's a lot of fun to mix and match fonts for your title. I think it's just a really fun look. So we've got Barbecue Boss, and I was digging through my acrylic shapes. Now these were the VIP acrylic shapes. There are some rainbow shapes available in the new core catalog, and what's neat about each one of these, it shows you here you can get them in white, black, or wood grain, or the rainbow. So lots of variety there. And then these are the flower shop embellishments. I love these. There's title pieces and florals, but I spotted this. I can't pick it up, but it says love this, and I cut a black circle just so that would stand out better, and I'm going to layer it right over and then my photo, and then bring this barbecue down here just to make a little embellishment cluster. I'll show you the flower shop embellishments in the core catalog. I love these because they're really universal. Best day, memories, all smiles, beautiful. You can use those for so many different things. So we have this little saying, and it says grillin' and chillin'. I have a little stitched border tag here that I like to use in my card making, but these are great for embellishments as well. I'm going to ink this up in red, grillin' and chillin'. I thought that was perfect. And what I'm thinking is just cutting this off, and we're going to have it kind of poking out on the left-hand side. So this, along with my title, makes a visual triangle with the barbecue over on the right, and then my cluster up top, just kind of framing in my photos nicely. So stay tuned, I'll bring in that other layout, but let me hold this up so you can see all the hand stamped embellishments that we created. And then there's that title, and I like the little acrylic arrow pointing to Barbecue Boss. I thought that was fun. So let's bring in this one here. I created this a while ago here on my channel with the Wander collection, which was just awesome. But you can see I made a few changes. I have on the left-hand side, I did tags on poking out from under the photos, and then up here we have a circle, so just switched up the embellishments slightly, but all in all the layout is very, very similar. But I love how versatile these sketches can be. I have 2 photos. I'm going to be documenting the story of my husband's love for cooking in the Dutch oven, and I'm going to be documenting my husband's love for cooking in the never mind. I don't know what I'm documenting. Don't forget to hit that like button. Here's a few more videos that you might enjoy, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.